Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Peter Goldstein, founder and Chief Synergy Officer for We Did It Health, and I am so excited to have you here with us. And we have a couple very special guests today. So welcome. And for those of you who aren't familiar with our work, We Did It Health, our mission is to empower grassroots ambassadors, people already living a plant-based vegan lifestyle, to empower grassroots ambassadors to be more effective, inspiring hope and curiosity with our friends and loved ones so they too can change their lifestyle and enjoy all the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle, the benefits that are about our health, the environment, animal compassion, and even world hunger. So, with that, this month is our Babies, Children, and Families Month, and our focus all month has been about children and families. And next month, it's going to be about physical training and strength and showing all the benefits of being plant based and how to inspire our friends and loved ones. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like us on Facebook and join us on LinkedIn and all the other social media places that we have. And visit us at We Did It Health and our scoreboard at scoreboard.wedidit.health. So with that, it gives me great pleasure to welcome a couple ladies who are doing such a wonderful job inspiring the world and actually helping move forward to a, a whole food plant-based lifestyle and supporting children, because our children are so very important, and I look forward to them telling you more about their work and how you can plant seeds on behalf of their efforts and with all their resources. So we have with us Carrie Bruno, and Carrie is a pharmacy doctor, a PharmD, who, after decades of practicing pharmacy, she embarked on a life-changing journey into the world of plant-based nutrition. Now, we also have with us Meryl Fury, and together they have founded the 6 Million Seeds Project under the plant-based nutrition movement. So Meryl is a master's nurse, so she has a master's degree in nursing, an RN, and an MS, and she is CEO of Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. Uh, Together, they're both certified. They're each certified with the Colin Campbell Center for Nutritional Studies, and Meryl is also certified with Forks Over Knives Plant-Based Cuisine. And she is now a sought-after speaker, and we are so appreciative to having them both. They're sought-after speakers for food, for lifestyle, and those benefits. So with that, here they are, and welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hey, nice to be here, Peter.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Well, thank you for being here, and I love your mission, and I love the work you're doing, and so many other people in our community are so excited for what you're contributing to make this a better world. So would you please take a couple minutes and tell us about the 6 Million Seeds Project uh, and the successes you're achieving, the initiatives that you have in process.
Sure. You want to take that?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll start with thanks again for having us. This is our studio. You can see our 6 Million Seeds back there. 6 Million Seeds is a project that focuses completely on child nutrition. We are of the belief and act like every day that if we could teach our children how to eat healthy foods, that they could take that message back home to their parents and begin to ask for healthy foods for meals instead of asking for things that are likely to make them ill over time. So for example, wouldn't it be something if children came home and asked for a salad or herbal tea or a hummus wrap, as opposed to asking for a McDonald's, or chicken nuggets type things. 6 million seeds is actually, it has a meaning. The 6 stands for the 6 plant-based food groups. So it's fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, whole grains, and mushrooms. SEEDS is an acronym. It stands for Students Educated in Environment, Diet, and Sustainability. And million is just the smallest power of 10 we can have, because we need millions, probably billions of kids to get this message and bring it home to their parents. We work in schools. We work with boys and girls clubs. We work with faith-based organizations, anywhere we can work with a group of children in an educational setting primarily, and teach them about what whole food plant-based eating is, why it's a good idea to eat the rainbow, red and orange and yellow and green and blue foods. We also work with local community gardeners and get the gardeners to teach the kids about planting and growing the food. We are in Wisconsin, so the growing season is short, sadly, but we'll work with kids over the summer with the gardeners to get them to grow food. And then whatever they grow, we will teach them how to put into a meal, either how to cook it or how to prepare it or how to eat it raw, how to eat it in a sandwich, how to make a salad, things like that. Another part of the project is, actually the project has 3 parts. So the one part is working directly with children. The second part is that we have a podcast, which is called Growing a Healthy Child. That publishes every 2 weeks. And that is the same message put different ways, and mostly for adults. So we talk to adults who have something valuable to contribute about the importance of children eating fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, grains, you understand. We talk with medical providers, researchers, artists, organic farmers, anybody who can deliver that message in so many different ways. And then the third part of the project is working to build a coalition of like-minded organizations, because we are fully aware that this is way too big of a job to do alone. Everybody has to work together and put, I'm going to say, past frustrations and perhaps grudges behind ourselves, let that stuff go, and really start working for the future of our children and for our planet. One of the things, I could go on and talk about this a long time, but one thing I will say, in the last 6 years, the CDC has decreased our children's lifespan 4 times. And that is something that is just not acceptable. It is not acceptable. We are, no matter how you slice it, in the top 10 richest countries in the world, in the United States. And there is no excuse that our children's lifespan should be decreasing. And that's what we're trying to fight.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely amazing. I know how shocked I was to hear several years ago that for the first time in recent history, the life expectancy of our children is actually shorter than the parents' life expectancy. And that's just amazing and horrifying and awful. And I'm so appreciative that that's part of your mission, is to turn that around. And of course it is ours too. And I love what you're saying about we all need to get together and amplify our voices. And together there's so many different aspects, so many different angles, so many different opportunities to speak to people in all the different settings. So if I may, for ourselves, our part, we did that health. Our part is to bring interpersonal communications and relationship skills to the table, so that we can add those kinds of skills to the messaging of folks like yourselves, so that together with the resources, with the communication skills, we can in fact move the needles. Because for me, one of the really sad things is that whole food plant-based movement has been around 75 years, and the vegan movement even longer, yet maybe at best 2% of the world, maybe 3 or 5% of the world has embraced being vegan, and way fewer people have embraced the whole food plant-based for health lifestyle. And it's just amazing to me that after 75 years we haven't done better. So I'm so happy to be joining with you both and with everybody else who is on this mission to move the needle. So thank you for that.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so we have a couple comments here. So from the vegan mentor, who we happen to know as Linda Middlesworth.
Hey, Linda.
A great program, ladies. She's a fan. We also have a comment here from Rachel, who's a teacher.
Hey, Rachel. Nice to see you.
Well, wonderful. So you do have fans, and I know many more who aren't able to join us live, who I'm sure will be watching this video later. And everybody who's with us, please post your questions so that we can address them. This is an open conversation, and we do welcome your questions. So let me ask, can you comment on what's going on with Mayor Adams in New York City? I know he's put together some initiatives in schools.
Sure. You want to take that one?
Yeah. So from what I know, he has made it so that there are at least one day a week where there are plant-based or vegan meals available to, I believe, all schools in New York City. And so now there's definitely options for.
Yeah. And from what I understand, actually, he's also expanding it into hospitals.
Okay.
He's very assertive and dynamic in what he's doing. And we're so grateful. You know, we're in Illinois, so I actually have fairly close contact with some colleagues out in New York who are helping with that movement. Thank goodness. Amy Hamlin from Coalition for Healthy School Food is out there and really promoting that and doing everything she can to support what he's working with. By I'm going to say it's a ripple effect somehow here in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois is the first state to put in a law that says for the entire state, children in the public school system or children who are in any school that receive the National School Lunch Program by law will be given a plant-based lunch with prior request. That will be starting just next month, August. So we're actually working with Amy Hamlin from the Coalition for Healthy School Food and with Audrey Sanchez, who's from the organization balanced.org, to start promoting that message, to start making it more well known among parents that they have the option to ask for a plant-based lunch for their children and that it will be provided. One of the challenges that we're noticing is the law was written in a kind of a vague way. So it just says children can have a plant-based lunch with prior request. That's almost all it says. That's the amendment that was added. So there's no definition for what is plant-based lunch. And there's no definition of prior request. So we're working to try and get that figured out. Mm-hmm. We'll be doing webinars and awareness campaign and uptake campaign in the coming several years. So pretty exciting.
Wow. That is awesome. And yes, that is also very vague. So I have so many questions about this. Yeah, right. So prior request, how is that, like, well, 2 years prior, or is it like 2 weeks prior, or
wonder,
beginning
right?
of the school year, or like the week of, like, who knows?
Yeah, and it's probably because it's a state level law. I can only imagine it could very easily be different in every school district.
Yeah.
The definition could vary unless somebody gets on top of that pretty quickly and hammers it out, makes it a flat definition. What does plant-based mean? Does that mean black bean burgers with cheese? Black bean burgers made with chicken broth to cook the beans? You know, what does plant-based mean? is another question. Will a child who requests a plant-based lunch also have to take a carton of cow's milk? Because that's very common. Will soy milk be available to these children? That remains to be seen.
Yeah. Well, there's so much to it. And I really want to make sure that we celebrate the fact that even the conversation has been put on the table. So that is a huge change. And certainly, yeah, so then that opens up all these challenges. And I'm so glad to have organizations like yours ready to step up and promote and clear up those details and advocate for the right options and for the healthiest. And I suspect this is just the beginning of a long process. So not only defining those, but I expect it will move along the ways of tightening it and improving those guidelines and processes. And that's such a huge undertaking. I'm so glad to hear that you're both involved with moving that along.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It also opens up opportunity for parents to get involved with the schools. I know that, with the plant-based ambassadors, your group is always looking for opportunities to connect and, just sort of ooch the message along, get it out there, right? So in a case where you have a school setting that is actually really trying to implement plant-based foods, the plant-based ambassador might be able to find an opportunity to make a difference within the school environment. Mm-hmm. It's very, very difficult to make a direct approach, a direct hit in the school lunch program that is carefully controlled by the USDA, right? But you can make a difference in the school food environment. So maybe if you have a child and you notice the teacher gives out Skittles as rewards, or you notice that there are vending machines and the vending machines have energy drinks or chips or stuff like that. Or if you notice that during class parties, it's always chocolates and Little Debbie's or whatever, Hostess cakes, depending upon what part of the country you're in. Maybe that's a way that an ambassador could, get in, I'm going to say through the back door and say, rather than give Skittles to the 4-year-olds or the 6-year-olds as rewards for getting their spelling tests done or for sitting quietly, how about we give them, cuties, mandarin oranges, or we give them a small bunch of grapes, or we give them raisins, or we give them pumpkin seeds, or we give them whatever, is the least offensive common denominator based on allergies and what people can tolerate. Yeah. And start having the conversations with the school teacher, the classroom teachers, about how to change the environment. That would be a great opening for an ambassador to take.
Yeah, and I also have heard of some school districts, they don't have the free lunch that the school provides, so parents are in charge of signing up and being on a rotation to bring in lunch for the kids. And it's a lot of fast food and places that don't have the healthiest options. So if you happen to be a parent of a child in a school with that situation, don't go for the fast food, go for healthier options. And yes, for like the school snacks and extracurricular activities, bring healthier options for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. So many ideas. I mean, my mind's just going with all this. I mean, having the resources to encourage parents. So what would be some good recipes that, if it's somebody's turn to bring in food, and of course they're probably limited on time to prepare it and budgeting and everything else, to have these kinds of recipes available and to encourage the parents when it's their turn, or to find those resources. So many opportunities and so much to be done here.
Yeah. What I have heard of, this is a kind of funny story. There's a school district, I'm going to say about a half hour, 45 minutes south of where we are. One of the most affluent, if not the most affluent neighborhood in the Midwest, right? Just north of Chicago. That school district has no children because it's so affluent. There are no children who qualify for the federal school lunch program. This is like a town full of mini mansions, right? That's how it is. And in that town, the parents voted for it because there's no cafeterias, there's no school cooking facilities. The parents voted to have a rolling menu of fast food brought in, right? So every day the children are getting McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken, you name it, they're getting it, right? It's not so much that the parents, and I would be surprised actually if the parents were allowed to cook and bring in for the children, because there's health code laws and, you know, requirements around how you keeping food cold or keeping food hot at particular temperatures to make sure people don't get sick. But at the same time, you can bring in fast food every day and not worried about the illness that's getting promoted that way. That's a whole different kind of dilemma. But so it's not so much that we would recommend recipes for parents to cook and bring in.
Yeah.
Most often it's going to be packaged foods that would be allowed anyway, or foods that come from a certified commercial kitchen that would come.
Right. So these parents could contract with a whole food plant-based kitchen to cater the meals.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily a whole food plant-based kitchen. If you've got that much money and you can pay people to make whatever you want, have them make something healthy, right? Have them make something that is whole food plant-based, or at least 3/4 whole food plant-based, at least, right? Give me 80%. I'd be happy, you know?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It'll do the children a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Fast food.
And you said something about health codes and how those health codes may relate to refrigeration or whatever, and it's just so mind-boggling that health codes just totally ignore the real health, the childhood obesity, all the antibiotics and growth hormones and everything that's in our food. And right along those lines, of course, we have a comment here from Linda, the vegan mentor, about milk, and just mind-boggling. I guess the history, there's such deep history with the milk industry and the agriculture department stepping in to save the industry and going, probably some of it, as I understand it, goes way back to the Great Depression, where the agriculture department was set up to save the farmers, and now that the farmer is almost extinct, and it's big business and big corporations and big money interests. Everything has changed from that, and so.
Yeah. To answer Linda's question, Linda, I wish we knew.
Yeah, that's a tough.
I wish
one.
we had an answer to how do you untie the knot that has milk so deeply embedded in our school system. There is a young woman out in California, I think she's in Los Angeles, who is actually trying to sue her school district, I believe, because she wanted to do a project to promote plant-based milk in her school. It looks like you've heard of this one, right? Well, she's suing her school because she wanted to do this project to promote plant-based milk in her school, and like for credit, right? It was going to be a school project, and she brought up the idea, she proposed it, and she was told that she would not be allowed to do that unless she included dairy milk also. And she wound up pushing back against that. I do believe PCRM is involved in helping support her effort for freedom of speech and to not have her rights imposed upon and told that she has to speak on something that clearly gets enough advertising in the course of a day in a school, clearly, right? So yeah, how do we disentangle that? How do we untie that knot? It's going to take legal action. It's going to take people standing up and refusing and, just fighting back in general.
Yeah, yeah, and it will take a lot of that, and certainly you brought up PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, headed up by Dr. Barnard, and they're doing such amazing work. And I was wondering if you've seen anything on. I know at one time PCRM sued the federal government on the food plate, because from what I understand, at one point the food plate was designed a certain way by nutritionists and so forth, and by the time it got past all the lobbyists and actually got written into law, it was shifted to look so different. Are you familiar with that at all?
I'm not familiar with that. What I do know about the food plate, of course, we used to have the pyramid, right, which was devilishly hard to decipher, right? And PCRM actually designed another what now looks okay. They designed a plate, right? The power plate, it's called, and it has fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes, I believe, is what's on it. There is no milk on it. There's no cheese on it. No dairy component. So it's a plate cut in quadrants, right? And then there's a circle for water, I believe, is what the beverage would be. They presented that to the federal government. The federal government was like, we can't. No, we pushed back. But the plate that they came out with, called My Plate, looks very, very much like the PCRM power plate, except that they have milk as the beverage.
Yeah, that's well. So here's a comment I'd like to share here. Support Raven Cores.
Meals offered in schools.
This is a current bill being considered in the House for offering soy milk in schools. Are you familiar with that? I haven't seen it.
I know that there is a bill up for offering soy milk. I certainly hope it gets passed. I'm not familiar with Ravencore, but thanks a lot, Rachel. We will look into that.
Excellent.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they're doing some really important work there.
Yeah.
Well, so do you have what am I trying to ask here? What are your initiatives? What are you most focused on in the upcoming times? And probably a better question is, how can people support your initiatives?
Wow. We have there's a lot going on. Thankfully, I'm super grateful to be able to say, as president and CEO of this organization, I get to spend easily 10, 12 hours a day working on this. Literally it wakes me up in the morning and it puts me to bed at night, and I run all day on it. So it's great. Initiatives, we are about to start working with a school here in Wisconsin. It's a bilingual Spanish-English School of the Arts called, I won't call the name of it just yet until it's all up and running. I don't want to jinx it. We'll be working with a 5th grade and going in once a month and teaching the kids about whole food, plant-based eating. And at the same time, the teacher of that classroom will provide a healthy snack for the children 3 times a week. The healthy snack is a whole food. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
That's all right. I got it. Thanks, Rachel. So at the same time, the classroom teacher will provide a whole food, plant-based snack for these kids, which is wonderful because a lot of these kids are actually living with food insecurity. There's 78 million children in the country, and 12 million is the ballpark guesstimate are living with food insecurity. And so this school is one of those that has high rates of food insecure children. So 3 times a week, they will get, a whole grain, beans, rice,
Like oatmeal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fruits, vegetables, and it could be a cooked meal where we will be providing them with an instant pot and the means to cook the food, the supplies, and the kids will actually get a meal. So that's one that's coming up. We're really looking forward to. I'm also doing a lot of traveling between now and the end of the year, doing a lot of in-person speaking engagements. So I have one coming up this coming weekend in about 7 days in Cleveland, where I'll be speaking with Dr. Milton Mills, Dr. Baxter Montgomery, and Dr. T. Colin Campbell, as well as a woman who is local there in Cleveland, Dr. Ruff. I can't remember her first name. I want to say it's, I don't want to I don't want to call her the wrong name, but it's Dr. Ruff. And it will be an event all about whole food plant-based eating, in particular for African Americans, and how to let's call it transform our health picture in this country, which is going to be a powerful event. I'll also be speaking at the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America, talking about the importance of plant-based food for mitigating inflammation and, just keeping children who have sickle cell disease healthier and mitigating their symptoms for the illness. So there is just a lot coming up as far as that goes. And at the same time, like I said, I'm a nurse, so working with nurses to start promoting this, nurses within ACLM, American College of Lifestyle Medicine. There are an awful lot of nurses and other healthcare professionals, but we don't speak out, we don't talk, we don't go and do public speaking, not even in libraries, not even at the local Boy Scouts. We don't talk. So I want to encourage people to share the message more, and particularly how it refers and makes a difference for children. Because honestly, you probably heard this too, Peter, that in January, the American Academy of Pediatrics came out with their first ever guidance on childhood obesity. I don't know if you or your group has heard about that, but the idea that we should watch children basically and maybe say something here and there about less screen time or low fat dairy or chicken without skin, skinless, boneless, baked, stuff, lower fat diets, okay, until they get to be 12 years old. And if they are diagnosed as obese by the time they're 12, that's at the 95th percentile of weight for height, then we can offer them weight loss medications. And if they're still at, which they probably would be by the time they're 13, if they're still at the 95th percentile, we can offer them bariatric surgery. This should not be happening. What are we doing?
It shouldn't, and it wasn't. I mean, to have 20% of children be obese or some number close to that it's pathetic. It's criminal. It certainly hasn't been like this in the past, and it's really quite obvious what's different. What's different in the world today is the food. It's the fast food. I know we were talking about Dr. Barnard in his book, The Cheese Trap. He points out that obesity really started with when pizza got to be very popular, and all the cheese with pizza. So his research has correlated a huge increase in obesity with the advent of pizzas. We have a couple comments I'd like to share. So I clicked on this by mistake before, but Rachel says that the student group that she was talking about, they're from Portland, Oregon, I suppose, and certainly, Rachel, people I would love to connect with, and if you're in contact with them, certainly would love to present their voice on our platform. So it's so nice to know that they're doing it, and I salute them and honor them for the work they're doing, and that's just amazing. Children have have a lot of common sense in these things. I think for them it would resonate, and maybe you ladies can speak to that for a second here of how you're finding children to be receptive. So with all the stuff that they're being presented, and this that can't possibly really be resonating with them, all the ill health, they have to be seeing that, are they?
Yeah, we've mentioned that in some of our activities and classes that we've done at the local boys and girls club. A lot of the children are aware of their family members, loved ones having health issues, and maybe not realizing there's a connection to food. But you'd be surprised at the number of kids who, a lot of them have not tried the foods that we're presenting at these various cooking classes that we've done, but they all love it and they are excited about it. They want to come back and try things 2 or 3 times. And we had a salad bar recently. And I mean, most parents might assume that kids aren't going to be too thrilled about a salad bar, but they came back 2, 3 times and they had a blast. So it's just like assuming that they don't or won't eat certain foods doesn't need to be the case. A lot of kids are interested in it. And I think if they started to see the health connections between food and what they eat and maybe their health and their family's health, I mean, kids might not be as concerned about health issues, but they're probably concerned about their parents and grandparents and seeing what they're going through. And if they feel like they can be a help and keep their parents and grandparents healthy, then I think that would maybe get them invested and interested in eating healthier themselves.
Yeah. I think too, of the experience we've had working with children directly, and our project is really only in its second year, mm-hmm. right? So we haven't had massive numbers, but what we've been able to see is we're mostly working in, actually exclusively working in lower income, lower socioeconomic status neighborhoods. They are primarily African American and Spanish speaking kids. They are heavily marketed to mm-hmm. by the worst, I'll say marketed to take on the worst possible eating habits, right? So they get heavily marketed to by Wendy's and McDonald's and Domino's and Pizza Hut and all of these kind of foods, one of the locations we were working, the kids would bring in bags. Okay, this is the size of my head. The bags are bigger than the size of my head, right? Of Takis, yeah. These chips, right? These corn kind of chips that come in amazing, brilliant blue, red colors. Yeah. Amazing. Like where do you get those colors? And the kids are literally, they found that this particular brand of savory snack is like addictive. The kids want to eat it. The kids would come in with bags this big every day and walk around all day long eating this stuff, right? You can't even call it food. This is a habit that we have to break, and to make the connection for the kids. Okay, eating this all day can result in you feeling sick. Not, this is not healthy. What's going to make you feel better? What's going to make you have more energy? What's going to make you less crabby, less anxious, more able to focus? What's going to do that for you are, tomatoes and bell peppers and lettuce and black beans and rice and, hummus, things like that. So that's a lot what we try to focus on when we're talking with the kids.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you're both very familiar with the concepts of how most food companies actually have engineers on staff whose job is nothing but to figure out the formulation of salt, sugar, and oil to make food addictive, and so you can't just eat one. So,
that's right.
So that those kids just have to keep eating. I'd like to share this comment here from somebody on Facebook, and he's talking about. He says he is a native, so I assume he's referring to being a Native American origin. And I've heard before about how terrible the food the food situation is for people of native descent, and especially on reservations and things like that. And um, yeah, it's how do we get education and how do we help change that? And I wish I knew who you were. You just show up as Facebook user, but if there's anything we can do to help you uh, educate and spread the word and about healthy eating. And I know our guests would, they have so much information that would apply. And of course, native people, but especially the children. I mean, I suppose the children are probably uh, the most neglected, the most disempowered of people in any culture in terms of what they get to choose to eat.
Right. So I totally agree with this comment. Facebook user, whoever you are, please reach out to us directly. We'll have, Peter, if we can put up our contact information at the end, or we never want to put it up right now. You can email us at 6, that's the number 6, mseeds at pbnm.org. We would love to speak with you.
Yeah, let me find it. I know I have it here. Okay.
I want to give Peter great respect and honor for doing this. This platform is really good. Good job, Peter.
Well, thank you. It's such an honor, such a pleasure to be doing this. I get to meet people like yourself and yourselves and so many other amazing people from all aspects of the vegan and plant-based communities, and I'm so excited and so honored to be able to be part of this change movement. We are out to change the world, and it must happen.
That's right.
It must happen. It's from so many perspectives: our health, the climate, animal compassion, the animal suffering. It's just it's.
What we do in this country affects the rest of the world. That is the basis of our promise. Yeah. So I want to go back to what that Facebook user posted. In communities where it is predominantly people of color, and I will add lower income. Thank you for putting that back up. The quality of food is absolutely it's an existential threat, to reuse that well-used phrase these days. It is the quality of the food system that makes a difference for the people. So when we start from very, very young, and even when the woman is pregnant, she's eating the same poor quality, low nutrient density, high calorie packed foods, we're already starting to chisel away at the child's human potential. We're already starting to rob them before they're born. And it's been going on for generations, right? So a child is born into a community like that. We like to, as the parents, you look down at the baby and you're beaming and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. And in very short order, we start, can I just be really straight?
Yes.
Start robbing them. We start harming them. The idea that we teach our children to brush your teeth, you wash your face, you go to bed early, you don't play in traffic, you put on your seatbelt, you watch out for strangers, you don't pick up sharp objects, all that is designed, right, to keep the child healthy and safe and make it to adulthood. Ultimately to reproduce, to further our genetic line. That's really what it's all about, right? It's a big natural law. But what we have begun doing and not realizing that we're doing is feeding our kids poison from before they're born. So we are actually killing off our next generations, which is against natural law. And in those lower income or communities of color in particular that are really hugely beset with social challenges, it's even worse because they're marketed to eat this way, and that's what's set up and available for them to eat. In some of these, I was reading actually not long ago, in some of the communities where Native Americans, Indigenous people find themselves, especially out west, there might not be a grocery store, or there might only be 2 grocery stores in a space, a geographic location that's as big as the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
How do people live like that? Right? There's only a couple things you can get from the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
You can get Slim Jims, and you can get Slurpees, and you can get bags of chips, and you can get Dinty Moore canned stuff, which is only going to cause you problems further down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing happens in the inner cities, right? If the closest store is a gas station and what's there is hot dogs on a roller or tacos on a roller, right? It's the same thing. We're it's a hideous game
Mm-hmm.
that we're engaged in when we're dealing with people's health and their ability to even just achieve their own human potential is the only way I can put it.
Yes.
It's brutal.
It is brutal. It is criminal. I think if we were to redefine our values and our laws, I think it would be criminal. And for me, probably right there at the top of it all, and it just really disturbs me to no end, is watching the Girl Scouts and the Girl Scout cookies. I mean, how is it that one of our leading organizations that has so many important values about being of service and about learning and so many really great values, but yet they're out there with the awfully unhealthy sugar-based products that have been linked in so many thousands of scientific studies. They're linked to chronic diseases and to obesity, and yet that's what they do is the Girl Scout cookie drive. I so would love to see them change that.
Yeah. And the Boy Scouts do the popcorn drive, right?
Thing. Yeah.
Let me see. We have a couple other comments.
Sure.
Back to our Facebook user, Anonymous. Native foods are some of the healthiest on the planet. So, wow. So what a beautiful thing for Native people to take the lead on bringing back the native foods, the indigenous, the native, the real foods that we thrive on and our bodies really need.
Yeah.
And yes, it's cheap and easy, and probably, and that's been one of the arguments of not eating healthy, is that it's expensive. But the fact is that nothing's really cheaper than a salad and beans and rice and legumes.
And if you're going for the so-called vegan or plant-based processed foods that you can use as an alternative, then those might be more expensive. But yeah, if you go back to the native foods and the individual, like fruits, vegetables, grains and beans, that is not expensive.
Right.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Your big challenge is, can you get to it? If I have to take a taxi
and prepare it too,
20 miles to get to a grocery store or something, well, that's gonna make it more challenging for sure.
Some people may have challenging resources for preparing some of that food. Mm. So those are
but definitely too. I agree. The foods that and I'm gonna say all of our ancestors, mm-hmm. the foods that our ancestors ate were actually the foods that we should still be eating.
Yes.
But like you said, cheap, quick, and easy is a tactic that we're marketed with, right? Convenience is a commodity. We are told that we don't have enough time. It needs to be fast. Let me just add water and put it in the microwave. That ought to be fine, right?
Yeah.
That ought to be great. But that is really what's causing us trouble in the long and short run.
Yes. Well, we have Maynard Clark is with us, and he's posted numerous comments here.
All right, let's see.
Too many for me to to read and bring up. I'm sorry about that, but I'd like to find. Well, let's see. How about if we read this one? Oh, this covers covers us up completely.
Okay. All right. Anybody in Scottsdale ought to go see that.
Absolutely. All right. Yes. Well, thank you for participating and for all these wonderful comments, Maynard. Um, and Linda with us again. Oh, she's saying she's going to leave us and watch this on YouTube. And thank you. And thank you for all you do, Linda. You do so many wonderful things. Bye, Linda. And Maynard, have a plan. Ambassador National Fruits and Veggie Month. Those are the things he was posting about.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Well, we have about less than 10 minutes here. What are some of the conversation starters that you would have an ambassador engage with? So as let's say we're as ambassadors, we're having a conversations. We're out to dinner with people who aren't plant-based, and what should we listen for, and what would be the opportunities? Where can we steer the conversation about related to your work and to children? So what should we be listening to and talking about?
You want to take that one?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, there's lots of different roads you can go by with that. One, probably the most subtle, although not the most popular. Although, however, I'll say it's probably the most common, is not to say anything.
Yeah.
Just you order what you order, you're out to dinner, you have what you have on your plate, and you just eat that. And you be the picture of health. You be the change that you want to see, right? Literally be that. And I'll tell you, that is not my usual MO. I will frequently say, it's got to be good. Carrie is more the gentle type.
I've noticed that. It's easier sometimes, depending on who you're out to eat with, to have some of those conversations. Leading by example is a great way to go. However,
you could be a sledgehammer like me.
That works too.
That happens, right? I may or may not be a sledgehammer. So sometimes I'll just say, gosh, this is such a great salad. I wish you could have some, or have you, over dinner is probably the worst time, honestly, to have these kind of conversations. I'll be honest, because people are interested in eating what they're eating. There's like this romantic relationship with what's on their plate, right? People are in love with whatever they ordered. So doing it over dinner is probably like a really bad choice. But here's one thing that you might find useful. And we tend to work with kids and parents, grandparents, to move these conversations along, right? Bring awareness. So we actually created a deck of conversation starter cards that really aren't focused on food at all. They're just how to have a conversation over a dinner table. So children these days, people in general, adults also, very often we're focused on our phones. We're looking at we're scrolling through Facebook, or we're looking at Instagram, or we're looking up something, right? We're looking, and there's no conversation that happens at the dinner table or breakfast. So we don't know how to interact with each other over food, right? So we created a deck of cards called Conversation Sprouters that you could literally pull any card out of the deck. There's no surprises. There's no political agenda. There's nothing. They're just benign cards. Like, what are you grateful for? Or tell us about a time you had a dream and it came true, or something, right? Tell us about something you're afraid of. Tell us, whatever the card says. The child can choose the card, the grandparents, whoever's there at the table, choose the card, and they just ask these questions and inspire conversation, have real conversation. And once you find that you're actually having a relationship with a person, maybe you could go into conversations about the environment, or what you've heard about water usage, or what you've heard about why the rainforest is being set on fire, or, different things like that, rather than going full frontal attack, even however gently you can put that.
Yeah.
People very often will take it and go on the defensive.
Right. So this is a wonderful conversation that we just had in the past couple minutes that you presented, and I'm afraid that I misrepresented the question I really intended. So the concept of being at a dinner table was not the main point. I just use that as an example, but if I overhear somebody say something like, "Boy, I just can't believe what I see about children, about childhood obesity, about noticing how little girls are maturing faster." What are some of the potential conversation starters where I overhear somebody that gives me a cue as to, here I can chime in, I can come in and maybe direct this conversation towards a plant-based solution so they're kind of aware of it. How do I gently steer the conversation? That's
it's kind of more where you want to go.
Okay.
So what are some of those cues that I could be listening for? And then what are some of the directions that I would take that conversation in?
Right. Well, you want to answer that one, or?
I mean, I guess just, looking for maybe little connections that people make to their food, or comments that they make about either weather or the environment or their health, and finding ways to not be accusatory or on the defensive, but maybe making those connections for them if they don't see it themselves. Making the connection between the environment and what they're eating, and maybe their health and what they're eating. Just, I guess, watching for those.
Yeah. And I guess, once you find the cue, right? Let's say it's something you were saying, you hear people talking about childhood obesity or something like that, to have some statistics that you can readily dazzle people with is helpful, because otherwise it looks like your opinion, or you made that up, or, whatever. But if you can actually say something like, there's 14.4 million children right now diagnosed with obesity, and there's probably another equal number who are diagnosed with just plain overweight, and together those children are going to grow up and develop diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and they're going to feed into these 655,000 people per year who die of a heart attack. There's ways that we could change that, and then turn around and walk away.
That's the end,
right? And if the person just goes, if you're standing in a grocery store having that conversation, that would be something, right? You never met the person. But if the person asks more, or says, well, I don't know anything about that. What are you talking about? Have you, 655,000 people? Yeah, more people per year than died in the COVID pandemic, where it was absolute imperative that they figured out a vaccine to manage that.
Yes.
However, more than that number of people die every year of heart disease, and we're not doing a damn thing to stop that.
Yeah.
So I find having statistics to combat lack of understanding is helpful.
Yes. So I know you have some wonderful handouts. Do you have statistics on one of your handouts about children and childhood disease? And
I think on a couple of them.
Yeah, we do. We do actually. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I would love to invite you to post that so our public Facebook group would be the Vegan and Whole Food Plant-Based Ambassadors on Facebook. Please share those there, and everybody watching and listening later, please check these out, because yes, the statistics, the information is what we need to be to be sharing, because so many people do believe statistics, and that's a great conversation starter, and a good place to move it forward. With that, I'd like to invite you for some final thoughts. We are running out of time, and I will post Ellen, who's expressing her appreciation for.
Hey, Ellen. I know that lady.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank
Welcome,
you,
Ellen.
Ellen. Thank you for everything you're doing as well. Thank you.
All right. So, any final thoughts that you'd like to share before we sign off?
You know, I think I've spoken a lot.
Yeah.
We've spoken a lot.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
you know, if anything, just, you know, when you're inviting people over your house, or you have an opportunity to share a meal with people, just as far as possible, with grace and kindness and compassion, of course, bring a plant-based dish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't even have to say, oh, it's vegan. Just don't even. Just bring it, put it on the table with the rest of the stuff, and they'll eat it or they won't eat it, right?
Yeah.
And if they ask what it is, say it's you know, cashew cheese or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Right? Definitely let people know if it's an allergen. But we don't have
Yes.
to wear our veganism or our whole food plant-basedness on our sleeve, or like it's a chip. Knock it off. I dare ya. You know, just I'm sharing a dish that's one of my favorites. I hope you like it.
Yeah. And when it comes to kids, just giving them the opportunity to try new things, and don't be attached to whether they're going to like it or even try it. Maybe it might take a lot of different times for them to be introduced to a certain food for them to actually taste it, but just give them opportunities to try new things. And eventually it'll catch on.
Yeah. You know, I'll add to that. One more thing is just encourage your children to be brave.
Yes.
And try new things. Just be brave and be grateful that they even like looked at it, they sniffed it. Sometimes we just ask them, okay, just lick it. Just one little lick. Smell it. Hold it.
Yeah.
That's all we ask. And then we thank them for being brave. And yeah, you can spit it out if you want to.
Yeah, and maybe next time they'll try it.
Yeah.
Maybe the next time they'll like it. And maybe then they'll ask their parents for more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, with that, thank you both, Meryl and Carrie. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to next time. And please, everybody, check out the Facebook group and post, and look for the documents that will be uploaded there for 6 million seeds, and let us know what else we can do and how together we can work to change the world, one seed at a time, one child at a time, one person at a time. So thank you, everybody. Bye for now.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.